Good morning. Today is September 24th, 2023, and this is the weekly Bitcoin price forecast. So basically looking at where Bitcoin went in the past week and where it could potentially go in the future. Truth be told, it didn't really go anywhere this past week, but that's been kind of the case for the past couple weeks. It's been we're in a holding pattern right now. Very much so a stalled out period. If you can look right here, we're on the monthly chart. We had two major well, really three major months. So you had January, March, and then June were all very much so up months, and then the rest of the months have pretty much been ranging since March. So we've had this period really a range between about 26,000 to, I don't know, roughly 30,000, if we're looking at the body closes of the candle. So again, 2022 was a very much so down year, and 2023 has been, even though we've started, to range right here. It's been an up year overall. It's been a good year for Bitcoin. I think we're up about 52%. And matter of fact, I can check that right now. From the start of the year, we are up, 55%. So that's still, roughly about 55, 53%. So we're still in a pretty good returns for the year. As we look at this, so let's go down to the weekly chart. Each one of these candles is a week's worth of data. So I mean, we've had a couple weeks that have accounted for the majority of the movement for the year. So again, we had a major liftoff in January, then a range accumulation period, and then you had another major liftoff, and then kind of like a downward range, pretty much, but still a range, kind of like holding pattern. Another liftoff, and then eventually we came back, and then that like confirmed that okay, we're just in a range right now. Let's take a look at this. We can probably put the drawings on. So looking at this, these drawings have not changed. I've had this here for a couple weeks. I said we had this major daily demand zone, and we'll look at that a little bit more when we get down to the daily chart. And then you have the potential that it could go down to 20K. So whenever I do this, I want to make sure that we're looking at both the bullish case to where it could go up, and then the bearish case to where it could potentially go down to as well. So the potential bearish case is we could very much so. I mean, I don't want to say broken this trend line. Like we're beyond this trend line at this point. We're kind of just hanging out in this area. This has been a strong trend line since the beginning of the year. So we had this major lift off, and then we came down here, and then we had another lift off, and then we kind of came not all the way down to the trend line, but then it came down here. And then we've been ranging ever since right there. So this daily demand zone has been holding very strong for the past what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. 6 weeks it's been holding. And it has not broken just yet. And I don't see, at this point, we're at the point where like the bad news has kind of gotten out the way, and now we're kind of in the cycle. It's like, okay, we should start hearing some good news. And we have, like, we have banks in Japan that are opening up Bitcoin investments, basically investment funds that are focused on cryptocurrency and all that. You have Franklin Templeton, like we talked last week, $1.5 trillion in assets potentially dumping into the market. Trying to apply for the Bitcoin ETF, I should say. And then you have, I mean, really the race, right? Like, it's so many things happening in the next couple months. So it's like whether it happens in a couple weeks or a couple months, it's still going to be there, right? So you have the 2024 ETF. It's going to be approved at some point in 2024. I mean, they basically said it. JP Morgan Chase has said it. BlackRock has said it. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when it gets approved. And that's going to dump billions, if not trillions, into the market for sure. So yeah, just looking at these demand zones, again, the thing that we have to do is break 32,000. You have to get a strong close above 32,000. And if I'm looking at this right here, this whole year we've been going up. Again, we came up, consolidated, came down real quick, rose up again. But what we've been doing is making a higher high and then a higher low, a higher high, a higher low, a higher high again, and then an equal low. So we came back down here, but we still haven't been able to, we still have not invalidated the bullish case. We've made these equal lows, and then if we look at it, it's kind of like a rounded bottom. So we come down here, and then it kind of swoops a little bit, and then it goes back up. So historically, here's the interesting thing. I've jumped over to another, basically this is looking at all the price returns per month. So this is 2013 all the way to 2023, looking at Bitcoin's price, the historical monthly returns we have here. So with this, If we look at January, okay, January is generally barely negative. You pretty much break even in January. February, on average, tends to be a good month. March, you're down a little bit. April, May, excuse me, on average, we're kind of we're up. June is historically a down month. I mean, we had a great June this year. Super great June. 11% up. July and August are pretty up, and then September. September is historically the worst month for Bitcoin. I don't know why, but it's historically the worst month. So out of the 10 months that we have here, so this is 10 periods, only 2 of those have seen positive returns, and they weren't crazy returns either. You got like a 4% month and a 7% month. But on average, you're going to go down 6% in September, and then again, only 20% of those months are positive. So if we go back and look here, go back to the monthly chart, we're up in September. It's up. Like weekly chart, we're here. This is the first week of September. Yeah, this is we went down initially. So this is coming out of August. We went down initially in September, and then we kind of rocketed up. I think we've had a long period of consolidation, and again, the selling pressure seems to have kind of petered out. So now we're kind of making this upward movement. So again, we've had all these downward candles, and now we're finally getting into the period where we're moving up. So we look at the daily chart. If we go back a little bit, this is that major daily demand zone that I'm looking at. So I'm looking at places where prices potentially, not even potentially, it has rocketed off in the past. So right here, you had 2 areas where it rocketed off. So you had here where it came up and it came down, and then you finally hit this. This is where you created the trend line, right? You had the period where it just absolutely went on a tear for days. So you have this demand zone down here at about 20,000. And then you have another demand zone right here at about 25,000. So it came all the way up here. It stalled out for a day or two. So, nothing crazy. But this is where it did rocket off. And the reason that this demand zone got confirmed was the fact that it shot off, came down, and then it barely tapped it. And then it shot off again. And then we came down here. It barely tapped it. I don't even think it barely went through at this point. Like, so it went down, a couple percentage points into it. So, we basically caught down here and rocketed off for a second, came back down, rocketed off again. So this is a very strong daily demand zone, which makes it important. If it breaks this demand zone, I have no doubt that we're going to go all the way down to 20,000 before rocketing back up. Yeah, and the other thing that we're looking at too is like I don't want to say we've broken this trend line, because again, all we've done is really consolidate in a range between about 27,000 and 25,000. So, up, down, up, down, up, down. If we look at this here, we have this trend line that goes all the way here. This is a major point here. So like we've broken really on the upside this trend line. So we had this major push down. We came here, we couldn't tap it. Well, we tapped this trend line. That's what actually created it. Is the second touch. And we came up one more time. On the third time, we actually broke out of it. We broke out of this trend line and then came down one more time. And I think what's going to end up happening here is we should see some type of rocket up to the upside. So if I look at this right now, if I pull a Fibonacci, I pull a Fibonacci and I say like, okay, well, we want these prices. So again, we have a level here. We'll probably end up going back up to somewhere in the range of about 29,000, and then have a little bit of consolidation, because again, if I was just a trader and I didn't have a long-term perspective on Bitcoin, to see that this is going up regardless. If I didn't have that perspective, I would take a trade. I would take a short right here, because again, you've had a major pullback. We're in a range. I would suspect that we would take some type of short. Because again, you're in a resistance zone. You're in a discount right here. You have all of these as the 0.618 and 0.78. So this would be a valid short entry, and perhaps it may still be something that we can look at. But anyway, I think we'll have a period of consolidation here before we actually go up to 32,000, and that'll be bringing us into the end of the year, really. So I think we have another couple months before we actually start seeing like the major price action. Could be sooner, but definitely somewhere within the next 3 months, you should see this rocket up to the upside, consolidation, and then a break above 32,000, a close. And once that close happens and you get a solid candle, it's a wrap. It's over with. We've broken this zone again. We almost did it right here in July, but it just didn't do it. So I mean, we got to about like 31,800, yeah, 31,800, but we didn't get a close above there. Once we get a major close above here, that's what's going to be the signal for the bull market. And at that point, we're probably going to go up to about 45,000, somewhere between about like 38 and 45,000. If I'm looking here, this is 37.5. We'll probably stop right here. So we'll probably stop at about 37.5. And then once that is broken, we will get all the way up to 45,000 very quickly. Reason I believe that is the fact that if we look up, and this is shooting upwards, this was the major, I mean, I have it right here, long-term support and resistance. Once this long-term support and resistance is broken, it's going to, again, this was, we shot up here. This was support. Okay. Price was supported there. This was support as well, but then the support got broken, came down here. Okay. Now this support turned to resistance. So now we have resistance here. We have resistance again. Once this turns into a support one more time, it'll go up here, come to 37,000, break down. And once it breaks down, this will become a support zone once again. And then it will rocket up to the upside. This is a key level that we're looking at. So at this point, I mean, with price action, there's no guarantee. Like we can't I can't tell you at this point, because again, this is rangy nonsense. You see all these wicks, that means there's no clear direction. There's no clear direction in the market right now. So all we can do, I have my long-term projections, but again, until we get a clear movement in either direction, there's not a whole bunch to predict at this point, not a whole bunch to forecast. So that's pretty much all I got at this point. So again, we'll look forward to the trading week and see what the market does. But other than that, this has been Chris Talks Crypto. Check out christalkscrypto.com for any crypto resources, and I will see y'all on the moon. So take care. Have a great week. Bye-bye.